Doing something a bit different for this video. I'm going to review a Tech 3 tank instead of a premium. This one's going to be the FV215b, the British tier 10 heavy, the one that's been in the game a long time now. This was my first tier 10 heavy, and I did not do well in it. It's not an easy tank to play, I'll get that out of the way right now, it's quite a tricky one. Main reason for that is because it's got a rear mounted turret, which is always kind of awkward. But you've got to couple that with the fact that the hull armour is not so good. Most things that shoot it are just going to slice straight through the hull armour. The engine is located in the front, so any shots going through the hull armour are likely to set you on fire. And then there's also the fact that it's absolutely huge. And compared to the 100 there, it's not much smaller. It means artillery love it, and they also set it on fire a lot. And if you're playing in an urban map, it gets complicated. Side scraping is your best bet on an urban map, because obviously it's got a rear mounted turret. You don't want to drive around the corner showing all that hull to people before you can even shoot them. But a lot of teammates don't know what side scraping is and simply won't give you room to do it. The other downsides of the tank are that, as well as being huge, it's pretty slow. And you also do not get many shells. 35 shells for a tank that fires as fast as this one isn't great. However, onto the upsides. First one is the gun. Just watch this bit a little second there. That's a snapshot on the move at range, and this gun can do that all the time. It's probably the best gun I've got for snapshotting. Other than that as well, while the hull armour is kind of rubbish, the turret armour is pretty good, other than the hatch on top. You get about 7 degrees of gun depression, so if you do use that gun depression you can hide the hatch. I'll try and show you now. Targets in front of me there would struggle to hit the hatch, they wouldn't pen it at that angle. All they'd be able to see is my turret. If you can get this tank in a position like this, then it becomes quite bouncy. You see the rate of fire at work here, as well as being stupidly accurate and having really good gun handling stats in general. This tank's got a really good rate of fire. That shot went into that hatch there. That's why I brought that up. You do have to be careful of that. People will capitalise on it. Due to the fact it's good at snapshotting, it means a lot of the time you can just do that if you want. For instance here, this tank's side on, so I knew I could pen that. The T62A isn't hull down, so I know I can snapshot that. So as long as you're aware of which targets you can reliably pen with a snapshot, then you can spend some games just doing that all game. And it can be quite fun to play when you're doing that. There are targets that you will have to aim against though. Things like a mouse, an E100, T110, E3, things like that. They're the kind of tanks you should take your time and aim against. Thankfully though, even against the tanks with loads of armour, this thing can pick off weak spots really easily. I was wary going around here due to the size of the tank and the fact that red tanks tend to camp behind the base over there. Doing this was really, yeah, it was a bit risky, but it paid off thankfully. Due to the DPM and the fact this tank gets 2,500 hit points, if you can isolate a red tank and just kind of bully it into submission with your DPM, there aren't many tanks that can stand against this one-on-one and actually survive. Now there I missed the snapshot. There wasn't much of that tank visible at the time. I probably should have tried aiming there. You're gonna have to aim against the Centurion. You can see the reticule aims in pretty quick. It does bloom up a bit when you move in the turret, but not too much, and it aims in again probably faster than any other tank I've used. That shot against me there though, that killed my driver, and that's due to the rear mounted turret. I'm having to expose a lot of my hull to get shots on these guys. Artillery hitting me there as well. If artillery shells hit you on this tank, they're going to do a lot of damage. It just doesn't have the armour to let the shells at all. Still got 600 odd hit points here, but I didn't want to take a shot from the T10, so I'm going to let the medium go around and engage it, and then I'm going to have to put some damage into it. You might notice on this replay that I'm firing, I've mainly got a load out of APCR. Numerous reasons for that. This was a tier 10 double silver weekend. I'm trying to 3-mark the tank. And aside from that, because you don't have many shells, you don't want RNG screwing you over with low rolls. The standard shell, it gets a decent amount of penetration to be fair, but the APCR gets 311mm. If you couple that with the fact that this thing is amazing at snapshotting, it can be really quite beneficial to spam premium out of it like a dirty scrub basically. But you've got to know which targets you can pen side on and things, like I say, when you snapshot him. It is worth aiming at certain things though. I'm hunting the artillery here because green team have got the advantage elsewhere on the map and I want to get some revenge. So I'll load up the Hesh, which gets more penetration than standard HE shells on most tanks and can do quite a bit of damage. But because I've been being fairly lazy all game and just snapshotting, I figured I'd do the same against the artillery. Problem with snapshotting though is that it auto locks to the centre of the enemy tank, and if the enemy tank is side onto you and its tracks are quite high, then you're going to basically lock onto those. Due to my laziness, what should have been a guaranteed kill in one shot in a second ends up not being. I shoot this artillery twice and each time I do just over 100 damage to it because both of my Hesh shells go into the tracks. The TE-32A next to me does pick up the kill, but if I'd have just aimed, I could have taken this out with one shot and got a little bit more damage. I also got lucky, the artillery player wasn't after shotgunning me here, he was aiming at the TE-32. But due to me being lazy there, if the artillery player had fired that shot at me, that probably would have taken me out of the game. Here they've only got one tank left, it's on the other side of the map and my engine's knackered. Not my engine, so my driver's dead even. Either way, I'm going slow. And I don't do anything other than drive around for the rest of this, so I'm not going to make you watch that because nothing happens. I'll just go back to the garage and I'll show you some of its stats and things in a second. I'm hoping this has showed you some of the strengths of the tank and things like that though, you know, the fact that the HP 2500 is a good amount, but you will end up having to use that throughout the course of a battle. I'll show you where the engine is as well, just to, you know, so I can make it clear exactly how big it is and how often you're going to be setting on fire in this thing. I'd say that's be a huge downside. An automatic fire extinguisher in this is vital. Equipment loadout. Normally on my heavy tanks I go with a gun ram, a vertical stabilizer and vents, but on this one I've not bothered with a vertical stabilizer. That's because, as you saw yourself, it's amazing at snapshotting anyway. The gun aims in really fast and the tank's got a view range of 410. I've gone for optics, that means I can spot my own targets and then even if they're at range, due to the accuracy of the gun, I can snipe them out if need be, or just DPM things to death up close. There's the stats on all the guns and stuff. As you can see, it's really good. You're going to struggle to find a better handling gun on any heavy tank. Bring up its armor profile. I just want to show you a weakness when you're trying to side scrape, because if you're on an urban map, that is your best bet, but it's not going to keep you safe against good players. The reason for that is because there's two slope bits underneath the turret there that you can see. They're very thin, and a decent player, if you try side scraping, is going to put shells through those, and then your ammo rack is at risk of being hit. Side scraping is your best bet on an urban map, but just be wary that you do have weak spots when you're doing that you can't really hide. You do have to be careful. I'll quickly show you the modules. First of all, the engine, which, like I said, is gigantic, so any shots into that are probably going to set you on fire, and it takes up most of your tank. And there's your ammo rack, which is safe for the most part, but as I said, shots going through those weak spots when you're side scraping can damage that, so just be wary of that. Overall, I do like this tank. It's my favourite British heavy, but it's one for experienced players. For the average player, I'd say you're better off with a Super Conqueror. Overall, that is the better tank, but if you like a challenge, if you know the good hold down places on the map and things like that, then I would recommend getting this one, as it's fun to play. It's just difficult. Cheers for watching.